intelligence community since he's taken office. Now, whether he's trying to undermine the Russia investigation or threatening to fire Robert Mueller or demanding investigations into, you know, whether somebody's been in his group investigating. I mean, is this having like a bad effect on the country?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't help, in my view. I think we got off to a bad start in January of 17 when we went up to Trump Tower, undoubtedly my last ever sojourn to Trump Tower, and briefed him on the intelligence community assessment about the Russian interference. And I think his reaction then, it's still the same today, is just can't accept anything that would cast doubt on the legitimacy of his election. And certainly the Russian meddling had that impact. And so the intelligence community is a source of that. You know, we characterize this as Nazis for, you know, having leaked the dossier, which we didn't do, but anyway, which I called him about, just to protect. I felt I had to say something for the men and women that toil in the trenches of intelligence every day trying to make this country safe. And so that has continued to this day. And I think, you know, with the informant business, well, the point here is...
Well, let me get to my question.
Are the Russians, not spying on the campaign, but what are the Russians doing? And in a sense, unfortunately, what they were trying to do is protect our political system and protect the campaign.
But the FBI started to look into Trump's ties to Russia in the summer of 2016. And Trump tweeted that this spring... the spying that he claims is spying. Other people say it's a whistleblower or an informant. He says it's spying is bigger than Watergate. So I ask you, was the FBI spying on Trump's campaign?
No, they were not. They were spying on a term I don't particularly like, but on what the Russians were doing, trying to understand, were the Russians infiltrating, trying to gain access, trying to gain leverage and influence.
So why doesn't
he like what they do?
So why doesn't he like that? He should be happy though.
Well, he should be.
Right.
I mean, Russia, and this is one of the reasons I wrote my book, was the threat that Russia poses because they are bent on undermining our system. And that's what they did and had a lot of success during the course of the election.
You know, I don't like the term spy either. I was with the Department of Justice in AUSA, and I think surveil is perhaps the more important word. What about this notion that there was a CI, a confidential informant, embedded in the campaign? Is that true?
Well, as we've seen, unfortunately, the identity of this informant is now out in the media. And if you know, this is a fairly benign tool available to the FBI, given all the other capabilities available to them. And what has been described that he did was pretty mild. The FBI particularly draws on, uses informants all the time for law enforcement purposes.
And it's
a very valuable source of information. The FBI has very strict rules and protocols on their usage. And what's bad about this is revelations about this individual. So other informants for the FBI who provide valuable information that keep this nation safe and secure begin to wonder, well, is my identity going to be protected? And what about potential informants who might want to help with the FBI? And what's the impact on them? It's pretty chilling.
You know, the president tweeted about you, quote, Clapper is a lying machine who now works for fake news. So a lot of people I know, first of all, what was your reaction to that when you first saw that?
Well, the president's calling me a lying machine. Well, okay. What that stems from is an exchange I had with Senator Wyden 5 years ago in March of 2013 about a surveillance program, and he was asking me about one, and I was thinking about another. So I made a mistake, but I didn't lie, so that's what occasioned...
So what you're referencing, though, is that when you said, when you were talking about James Snowden blowing the whistle on the NSA illegally spying, and in 2013 when you were asked about it, you said no. So that is a lie. And
no, it isn't a lie. I'm sorry, it isn't a lie. I was thinking about something else. Another program. I can get at all the technical details about... He was asking about the metadata program. And the euphemistic way he asked about it, I didn't break the code. Well, I was thinking of another program that we just gotten renewed, Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And by the way, had I been on the same page with him, and understood what he was asking me, I'd have still been in a bad place because at the time that program was classified. And just on the face of it, I've been trotting up the hill testifying for 20 or 25 years, dozens of hearings, hundreds of questions, and always tried to answer them straight. But gee, just for a change of pace, I think I'll lie on this one question, and by the way, do it on live television in front of one of my oversight committees. Really?
Well,
no. So I made a mistake,
at this point, sir, he lies an average of 9 times a day now, according to the New York
I think it's that there is a distrust, though. What's fascinating right now is there's such a distrust between the American public and our intelligence agencies, and there's a lot of leaking. James Comey leaking his memos, Andrew McCabe leaking to the media about the Clinton investigation. So I know people in my own life who have this distrust, which is unique to this moment in time. Is there any ownership to be taken from the intelligence agencies with this right now?
The lesson, I'll tell you, the major takeaway from Edward Snowden, and I have a whole chapter in my book about that, particularly from the government's point of view and the profound damage he has done. And if you're paying taxes in this country today and for some years, you're going to be paying to repair the damage he did to our foreign intelligence capabilities. If what he had exposed was only about so-called domestic surveillance, I could understand it, but he exposed a lot more. Just the nature of intelligence work, which is secret, it has to be, particularly to protect sources and methods. So that automatically, by definition, raises suspicions in the minds of a lot of people. I understand that. And one of the lessons I learned, and which I tried to work at after Snowden, was we need to be more transparent, to try to explain what we do, why we do it, and importantly, all the oversight mechanisms that exist to make sure that what we do is legal, ethical, and moral. But inherently, intelligence, it's not like the Department of Agriculture or the Department of Commerce, which is open, transparent, no secrets. Well, inherently, our work is. That places a huge burden on our intelligence oversight committees, one of which right now is kind of broken, to perform that oversight on behalf of everyone in this room and on behalf of all American citizens to ensure that we're doing the right thing.
I have a question for you real quickly. We live kind of in a dangerous time where depending on which side of an issue you're coming at, you think of people as either whistleblowers or leakers.
Exactly.
So when we talk about the Steele dossier, for example, which was an unsubstantiated document with salacious claims about Trump, James Comey briefed the president on that dossier, and then it got out to the media. You have said that you did not leak that. Do you have theories on this, and is that okay? Because where we fall, we might see this as good because it was a whistleblower or bad because it was a leak.
Well, first of all, the dossier is not classified, not an intelligence document, so there's nothing secret about it. 2 points I need to make. One, we did not use it as a source for our intelligence community assessment. I felt, in the no good deed goes unpunished department, that the president-elect at least needed to know it was out there. And that was the whole point of the briefing. At one point, Jim and I were both going to do it, and at the last moment, and at the last moment he said, I think it'd be better if I do it alone. And of course, I was fine with that. And so he stayed after the broader briefing to tell him that. So the point was to warn him, and we didn't draw on it for our official assessment, and because we couldn't validate the second, third order assets or collection sources, informants that were used in the dossier.
So the dossier is not necessarily a leak.
No, I mean,
not classified.
It's not classified.
If I
it's
hand
not
you
an
the newspaper,
intelligence
am I leaking the newspaper too?
Not in my mind.
Well, not in my mind either. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how I feel about James Clapper is sticking around, and we'll be right back. So we're back with James Clapper.
So there were historic highs and lows while you were director, which you write about in the book. The killing of Osama bin Laden, the Benghazi attack, as we mentioned before, Snowden blowing the whistle on NSA surveillance. What would you like people to take away from your book?
What I would hope they take away is an understanding of the importance of the intelligence community to this country and what it does to keep the nation safe and secure. I believe, despite all the falderall you hear sometimes, that it's actually a noble profession. My dad was an Army intelligence officer in World War II and during Korea and Vietnam, and I kind of followed in his footsteps. So I hope that's one takeaway, and I hope that young people might read it and it might interest them in some time in public service.
Well, among your staffers, you got a nickname. You had a habit of scrunching up your face in a lot of hearings. Have you heard about this nickname?
No.
Okay. Well, it might have been a leak then, not a whistleblower. But we did hear that some of them call you Grumpy Cat.
I didn't hear about that till after I left.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to be the one to tell you, but we do know your book's going to be a big hit. But have you seen the competition book that's coming out? It's Facts and Fears Grumpy Cat
No, I haven't
edition.
seen that.
Oh, my God.
So, on this uplifting segment, I thought we had this signed by Grumpy Cat.
Oh, well, thank you.
That never happened. They don't have a poster.
Actually, better looking.
It's a good-looking Grumpy Cat.
Better looking.
Well,
I got a face made for radio, you know.
Well, thanks for everything you tried to do.
Well,
know?
thank you, Whoopi.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
And
very much.
members of our audience, you're all going to get a copy of his book back.
Yeah.